Tonight's the night to rank all Dexter seasons from season 1 up until Resurrection to celebrate Halloween. Slightly late to it. Been meaning to do this video for a while. Had it all ready to go. I was originally going to do it a little bit after Resurrection finished, but I got caught up with life and a little bit late to Halloween. But I'm like, listen, this is the last chance I'm really going to have for a while because I have a bunch of other videos planned. So I got to get this out so I can get to the other ones. So yeah, I was introduced to Dexter this year. I think I was aware of it growing up, but this year I watched it all for the first time, and what a bloody journey, literally. So I started watching it. I saw a whole bunch of TikTok edits, and that kind of inspired me. Actually, I saw them, I think it was towards the end of last year, and I was like, oh, cool. And then I saw a revitalization of them again, like around like March, I think. And I think around then is roughly when I started watching the show, like March, April, around there. And yeah, I was pretty hooked immediately, to be honest. Season 1 is very strong. So that's kind of the approach that I'm coming at this with. That's my history with Dexter. And yeah, I just binged the whole show. And whilst I started, Original Sin was like finishing, like it was coming out and finished. But by the time I had finished and caught up, and then because I watched it all like chronologically from like release order, and then when it came to Resurrection, that was a couple months after I'd finished everything. So it was cool to finally, because I knew it was on the way, which was why I'm like, oh, I might as well, yeah, now's the time as any to, watch it all. And yeah, when it came to Resurrection, that was the first Dexter series where I got to see it week by week, and I watched it like, as soon as they came out. So I was like, that's awesome. That was exciting. So, yeah, and the news that we got, them cancelling season 2 of Original Sin, that's very unfortunate. Hopefully something can happen to bring it back. But yeah, they announced season 2 of Resurrections. That's pretty cool. I'm glad that's continuing and coming back. In my opinion, I don't think they should have too many seasons because they are going to run a bit dry of content for Dexter. So, but I can see them doing like 3 seasons of Resurrection and calling it that. But yeah, so either way, I'm going to rank it in the order you see here. Obviously, again, chronological order from release. Yeah, I was going to write a lot more notes for this and everything. And sorry for like blabbing, but this is going to be like a discussion and just talk about it all. So let me know how you'd rank all the seasons or what your favorite season is. And spoiler alert, I'm going to be talking about a lot of spoilers. Now, since I binged all this, a lot of information is like slightly hazy. And I might be blending a couple seasons, so I'm not, don't hold me too accountable for that. I'm going to be a little bit carefree sort of with this, but still, give my full thoughts best I can. So, but anyways, let's get into it finally. So, season 1, I think that is a tremendous season. And that's the only season that I rewatched twice. When I watched all of the series, I rewatched that season because I'm like, let's go back to where it started again. And it's just like that season, not only like visually, because I think that's the only one where they filmed the whole season in Miami, and just like the color grading, like the lens they use, the cameras and all that. And I don't know, just like that rich like beginning, like it wasn't like too complicated, and everything with Brian I thought was like handled so well. He's probably my favorite antagonist / serial killer, apart from Dexter. So for me, that's an easy top tier. So starting extremely strong, and that's why I think, it's a very good spot for it, because you look at how many seasons have spawned from it, and, Michael C. Hawley's done a fantastic job. And, re-watching it, man, I feel so bad for Deb. Like, she gets really hardened as the show progresses and jaded and everything. No wonder, everything that she goes through. But, yeah, this season, like, you really feel her, like, innocence and, like, I don't know, like, I really like the connection that she shares with Dexter. Their sort of bond and looking out for each other. And that's like really shown here. And I don't know, you just get like a very youthful cast as well. Like everyone's like, beginning. And Dokes, man, he's a legend. And I love him in this season. He's so entertaining. And, you just look at all the memes that have spawned from it. And it's like, he's just goated, to be honest. But yeah, so just like so many great things and so many memorable scenes that it's just fantastic. I'm not going to talk like for 10 years on each season, so I'm going to keep it like semi-brief like that. So that's where I'd place season 1. Season 2, so this is where it introduces Lila. Oh yeah, also season 1, I suppose, like, sorry, I forgot all about Rita. So I really like how, I don't know, she's very much like a wounded bird. And like, just, I think the comedy is like very dry and well done in that season. Just, I don't know, the emotional disconnect with Dexter. There's a lot of funny moments throughout the show, but I don't know, I just think it was extra well done in season 1. But yeah, so season 2, so Dokes is on Dexter's tail. So I feel we get like the most interesting and funny Doke stuff. I don't love his ending, and I wish we had like a lot more of him. But he was still like a treat for the season. Lila, I'm not that huge on her character. Like, she served her purpose, but I do not like her much of a character. So on the antagonist level, you know, not near as high. But again, we still get a lot of great stuff. I think this is the season where, I don't know if Lundy was this season or next season, but I love him in the show. He's a great character. And yeah, like the whole cast with like Batista, Masuka, you know, all that, they're just like, you know, just, you know, really good all the way around. I do feel they'll get a little bit more depth as the show progresses though. But to be honest, I'd put it in top tier as well. But I'm going to put it behind season 1 because I think season 1 again just like really hit, you know, hit the iron while it was hot, or bloody, I don't know the terminology, but you know, it bloody, you know, cut its way through, and you know, it's just bloody amazing season. Nothing really is like coming to my brain from season 2 that I can remember too well. But yeah, just really solid. So that's all I can really say there. And then we get to season 3, so this is where we get Miguel. I really like what they did with that. He's a bit of a scene stealer, but I love his chemistry with Dexter. And how that ends, like, you know, that brief, like, what, like 2 episodes where they're like fully friends and buddies and all that, that was like so cool and fun to see. And then obviously, like, you know, we see where it goes, and that's like, you know, very tragic, but very cool, you know. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that. You definitely notice the lack of presence when, you know, Dokes isn't in the show anymore. So it takes a little bit of a hit there. But yeah, there's not too much else that I'm really thinking. The show is just like very solid all the way through. So for me, I'm going to put that in top tier again. But I'm going to put that again, like a bit lower than season 2. I just think it's, yeah, just very solid. But I know they're all very close. But season 1 is definitely, I think, just that like sort of bit higher than all of them. And then we get to season 4. This is everyone's like favorite season. You know, we get the Trinity Killer. He's fantastic. And this is probably the most development Rita ever gets. Like, she is really standing on her own, and you see her development, and that's really awesome to see. And I think it's a fantastic season 2, and the show like really hits its stride here. Like, it's in the, you know, the middle of the show, and you can just really tell that they're firing on all cylinders. So for me, again, this is surprisingly going to be in top tier. I don't think there's a single bad season of the show. I'm going to tell you that now, which might be slightly controversial. But yeah, so I think it's amazing, but I still like season 1 a little bit more. But that's like right next to it, you know. So I definitely understand the praise that it gets, but again, I still like season 1 a little bit more, just personally. Mainly the connection, mainly the connection with Brian and Dexter just like really brings it forward. But season 4 is spectacular. And then we get to season 5. So this is the second half of the show now, where it gets a little bit crapped on by a decent amount of people. Like, not too many think it's like the worst in the world or anything, but it kind of loses some people because they praise season 4 so much. And to be honest, I'd have to like disagree. I really like this season. So this is where we get, I believe this is where we get Lumen or Loomis. And she's like the victim, you know, of a bunch of like just bad people. And the whole season is about her getting revenge. And also this is the aftermath of Rita's death. And I think they handle that interesting. The first couple episodes, it felt a bit weird, but then when it sort of like, you know, recovered from that a bit, and, you know, we see how it affects Dexter, and then we get to, you know, again, Dexter helping Lumen. I hope I'm remembering her name right. You know, it's just really cool to see them like track down those people throughout the season, and I just think that's like really empowering and cool. And then the connection that they get at the end, but then I'm like, I'm glad that she gets a happy ending and like moves on. Well, like, you know, happy ending, like, and moves on. And like the sadness that Dexter, like, you know, carries for her at the very end, I just think that's like very well done. So for me, I think it's great. To be honest, I don't think it's like too much of a dip. Again, it's all like just you can see how consistent the show is for me. You know, I absolutely love the show. But yeah, that's where I'd put it. A bit weaker than the rest, just because I don't know. Like the first half of the show does have like a solid strength to it that I do think you can feel. And I think the rest of the show is like still like quite strong, but I do feel I do feel you lose a little bit of oomph in it, but not much. And then season 6, this probably has some of my favorite cinematography and like symbolism, because you get so much of like the religious stuff, right? I think firstly, very interesting killer because it evokes like a lot of intrigue with Dexter's brain and like him exploring his character about, you know, like he is into demons and everything. And the father, I don't remember his name, but the you know, the black priest father dude, he was a really awesome character. I loved him. It was sad to see him go, but he was great. And what else was it? Yeah, I don't know, just a lot of fantastic cinematography, and I thought it was a very interesting reveal at the end. It caught me off guard a bit. So it was like a nice twist there. So yeah, for me, honestly, I'm going to put that in great tier. But below season 5, because I think season 5 has that, like, I don't know, it kept me on my toes a bit more of like, yeah, bloody, you know, get him, Dexter, you know, Lumen, bloody, you know, get those people that, you know, sort of did wrong and everything. So, you know, I know I'm missing a whole bunch of subplots for all these, but I don't want to do like a freaking essay for every single season. So again, I am like a little bit rough with this. But then we get to season 7. So I believe this is with, is it, Jason Isaacs or like Isaac or I'm slightly misremembering, but he was like the gay mafia sort of dude that was like avenging his loved one or what have you. He was a treat. I really enjoyed him. He was only in half the season from memory, so I do think it was like a bit underutilized and it was like sad, but I thought I really enjoyed everything with him in there. Yeah, just very solid. But again, I do feel I could feel the show losing a little bit of like strength, just because it started off so strong. But again, I still think it's a great season. And the tension with, you know, finding out, you know, everyone's like finding out, oh, who's Dexter, who is the Bay Harbor Butcher, and the tension rising of all that, you know, I think is like adds to the, you know, the weight of everything. But there are like a lot of close calls, and it's like, how's he not found out by now? Like, I don't know. There's a few things like that. So I'm going to put that in great tier still, but I probably will put it below season 6. And then we get to season 8. Now, this is definitely the most controversial season. So I really liked that character that was a bit of a protege to Dexter, and I thought it was interesting, the person that... also, all this, I love Harry, Dexter's dad. He's a fantastic character throughout the whole season, and I love when he gets more involved in Dexter's brain. And also, season 1, I completely forgot to mention, I'm just going to mention it right now. Season 1, another reason why I love that season above the rest, I love all the flashbacks of young Dexter with his dad. That really elevates that season. Completely forgot to mention that earlier. So that's why it's a bit above there. But yeah, so season 8... the ending, yeah, a bit controversial, and I will admit, when I watched it, I'm like, because I knew that the ending was meant to be bad, right, but I didn't know what happened, and yeah, so I think the whole season is, again, really solid, and even up until, like, the last 2 episodes, like, literally, I think the last, like, episode and a half is where I'm like, ooh, what is, okay, like, I understand what you're trying to do, but the pacing and execution was like, ew, I don't know about that. Like that's like the worst reaction I've had to the show. Again, I understand what they were trying to do, and I'm like, yeah, so. But I still think a lot of the season is great, and again, I like Dexter's like new love interest being an actual like sort of killer as well, and fully understanding him, and taking Harrison at the very end and looking after him and all that kind of stuff. But the ending, like I don't know, like it's very difficult. But then also like I don't know, like with Deborah helping like Dexter and like not unveiling his secret and all that. It's like I enjoyed those aspects and everything, but yeah, that ending, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I will say the seasons following, have made up for a little bit of that, because obviously that's not the very, very end of the story anymore. Like, I understand if you were watching this show week by week, years over it coming out, and that was the ending and that was it, I see how you'd be more upset compared to me binging it now and having these extra seasons afterwards to sort of like recover a bit. So that's why I don't think it's as bad, but it is the weakest season of them all out of the original series. So I'm going to put that at the very end, but I think the rest is still like very strong, to be honest. And the Brain Surgeon, I believe, is the killer's name. I don't know, there was an interesting sort of thing with him. Not one of my favorite killers or anything, but there was enough like sort of strength in here. But again, it is, I can definitely admit, yeah, it's the worst season of the original series, right? Actually, yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's difficult to place all these because I just love the whole show, so I'm going to seem a little bit biased. And then we get to New Blood. So I think this is a bit controversial again because people think the ending of this is another bad ending, and I have to completely disagree. I don't think it's the best ending of all time or anything, but I think having Dexter's son Harrison kill him at the end, and the way that they did it and executed it, I thought, okay, they like the pacing of it, the build up, the tension, the selflessness, and the care and all that, I thought was actually very beautiful. It showed a lot of character development and like trust and like just so much stuff that I really liked it. And the setting being completely different though, it isn't my favorite. I miss Miami, and they just went completely polar opposite, right? And a lot of the color is gone. It's a completely different vibe. It's definitely like a weird sort of remix of the show, and I didn't like love that. So for me, I am going to put this in the good tier because I do think it's a very good season, and I like the ending. But yeah, it just had a lot of lacking characters. Like, I didn't love Harrison. But one of my biggest praises for this, especially after seeing Resurrection that didn't have any of this, right? One of the biggest praises I can give this is I really love the imagery and like imagination stuff with Deborah being in his brain now as opposed to his dad. And they utilized her like super effectively, like to bring her back like that. So I'm like, okay, cool, we get more of her, sweet. But how they do it, which I think is probably my favorite use, is so you know how like he's always talking to Harry, right? But this time with Deborah, they do a lot of like visual stuff, like when he's the fact that I remember this is like why it's like a strong, potent part of the season. Is I really like how he's like, oh, he's trying to figure out the blood spatter. And he like, has a little tussle with Deborah and like stabs her, and the blood comes off her, and he's like, yeah, look, see, like, it's all in his head, obviously, but like, I don't know, the way they do that. And I think there was a bit where Deb like was chucking body parts into like a blender sort of thing, shooting up blood and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, like, I really liked all that, so that's like a big plus for the season, to be honest, and that definitely helps it. But again, not as good as the original series, but still very good. And then we get to Original Sin. So this is very interesting, completely new cast. The main cast person that I wasn't huge on was Harry, especially with how much I loved him in the original series. I think they could have done him better. And honestly, them recreating a bunch of things that were just already in season 1 of Dexter, but like kind of, I don't know, less good. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. That's, yeah, right. But I did warm up on the show a lot by the end of it, and enjoyed, I enjoyed being back in Miami and like the early phases, and I really would have loved another season of this because I would have loved to see like Dokes, like in an earlier like time frame. So I don't know, it's like it brings it back to there. So I'm going to put this in the good tier, and I am going to put it above New Blood, just because it brings it back to more of its roots. Definitely not as strong as the original show again, but I still think it's very solid. And yeah, I don't know. I just think it, it does everything it needs to do. Wasn't the most necessary thing, but I don't know. I think there's like a gap of time where you can explore stuff. And I think they did a pretty good job with it. And the killer, oh yeah, I also loved all the Brian stuff again. We got more Brian stuff of him younger, and all that was definitely a highlight of the season as well. So that definitely elevated it, because again, I loved him in the original season 1. So that definitely added to it quite a bit there. And then we get to Resurrection. So Resurrection, Yeah, so that was the first one I saw, fresh, like week to week episodes, right? And I will say, watching it from week to week compared to everything else I watched being like 2 episodes a day at least, right? It was like, yep, now 1 episode a week. I definitely, like, it was exciting, but I don't really prefer to watch shows like that, to be honest. At least certain shows. It was like cool to do that, but that was over the course like 2 months and everything. But Dexter being in a whole new setting, bringing him back, so it's not like that was a little bit of a cop out. But I'm like, all right, if you can do a good enough story, I'll buy into it. And I do think they did a good enough story, definitely. And giving him like an exciting new setting, like he's in New York and he's part of a serial killer club, and the way that he's included into that is very well written and exciting. And having Batista trail him the whole time and like have some emotional scenes with him. And Harrison, he was great this season. I really loved his development and connection with Dexter. And especially with how the season ended, I'm like, all right, I'm really excited for season 2 of this, because they can really hit that season from the get-go with them already reconnected again, and bonding and everything. There's no like waiting to be like, oh, reveal to myself Tim again. So I just think that was like just really well done, and I'm excited for the future of that. But the praise that I was seeing this get online, I'm like, I don't think this is like top tier Dexter. And again, I missed the Miami days, and I do think it's running a little bit dry of things. But again, I thought all the serial killers in this season were like pretty fun. And having Harry back in his brain, I thought that was like fun to have back. So I'm going to put this season in good, but I'm going to put it at the top of good, because I do think it's very solid, and a bit better than what's below it. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a little bit I don't know, exhausted of the formula a little bit. Again, I still think it's very good, and if you love it, I'm very glad. I'm glad that we're getting more Dexter. And I was quite happy with it. Like, I wasn't really let down, but I wasn't like feeling how I was like, especially the first 4 seasons. But yeah, still very good. As you can see, I love the whole series. I don't think there's a single bad season. Hopefully Dexter Resurrection season 2 is also very good. But yeah, either way, that's pretty much all my thoughts that I can think off the top of my head. I don't want this to be a 50-hour video, and I also like am forcing myself to do this because I've been wanting to do this for a while, but I'm like, just so many things pop up, and I'm like, listen, I just need to hit record and just do this, so that's why, I'm doing it now. So thanks for sticking around. Yeah, let me know your favorite Dexter scene or, season or whatever you want. And happy Halloween. I know that's gone and done now, but, it's whatever. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.